run through so much of yesterday's action here. The Chiefs beat the Patriots yesterday, but it continues not to be pretty. And Dan, the relationship between Patrick Mahomes and his receivers, not good.
Yeah, Andy Reid's going to have to figure out what's going on, because Patrick now is starting to look at really only Travis Kelce. He's got Rashee Rice there for a dump off, kind of just staring at Kelce, play action. He's got Noah Gray up in the flat route. Patrick always kicks it there, but he's kind of hanging on Travis Kelce, ends up throwing the ball over the middle of the field, gets ripped away for an interception. That's not an interception on the quarterback, that's an interception on the tight end. He's got Kelce here, but because the tackles struggle so much, now kind of Patrick is starting to trust that offensive line just a little bit less, and his eyes seem to be dropping. So this is not a great situation for the quarterback. It's just not. Both tackles struggle mightily, and not only do guys struggle to get open, I think we're at the point where Andy Reid has to ask this question: can Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore see the field anymore? And I don't think they should play that much, if at all. The lack of trust, the drops, the fumbles, the lack of communication, it's just too glaring to not get into the AFC title game because of.
After all the stuff that happened with Kadarius Toney last week, he has one of the really terrible, there it is. That's a terrible drop of a ball that is directly in his hands that turns into an interception at a time when the Chiefs were trying to put the game away, and that prevented them from putting it away. Now they wind up winning anyway, and the Patriots are really bad. But that's another of all the things you thought there's no way in the world that this would happen again this week, Dominique. Now what?
Yeah, I think the worst thing about this is Patrick Mahomes looks disgusted, and he's not even seeming to hide it anymore. There was a time a few weeks ago where it felt like he would hide it, and he would pretend like he's not upset with them, he's not disappointed, he's not disgusted with them. But what's shocking is if they had average receiver play, we feel like Patrick Mahomes would elevate this group. Their receivers are a negative, and that's really hard to win with when you're a passing-oriented league with one of the best quarterbacks you've ever seen.
Rex, you were a head coach. I mean, Kadarius Toney in particular. Yeah. Last week, the lining up of offsides. We've seen multiple mistakes and drops all season. Now this one again. What do? You're the coach.
Yeah, if it was just him, it's easy. All right, we're just not going to play him. It ain't just him. Yeah. It's all of his
Watson
receivers.
Had a drop.
But every one of them. And here's the thing. It's details in that same room. And so if I'm Andy Reid, and trust me, Andy Reid's a player's coach. His fastball is like he cares for him. He protects him. He does all that. He's always going to protect him in the media and in public. But privately, he needs to go in there, shut that door with every receiver in that room, including that coach, and say, hey, it ain't getting done. He needs to lay into him and rip and tear him a new you-know-what. Mm-hmm. He really does, because you're letting our whole football team down. It's details, specifics, have tape to show. Why are you breaking off a route when you're running a wheel route? It's the quarterback's job to break you off. Run the route. They do it over and over. You're a receiver. How about we catch the football? How about we catch? And if you can't catch, there's a jugs machine. I want 200 catches every day. I watch that Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can catch everything. By the way, he catches 202 balls every single day. I mean, you can get better at these things. But if you're not committed to the team, you're killing our football team right now. We have the greatest quarterback that's ever played talent-wise. What the hell are we doing? You're letting our entire team down.
You're not going to get to the Super Bowl with bad tackles and drops. And I thought it would fix itself. I honestly did. I was like, they're not going to not get to the Super Bowl because they can't catch the ball. I've never seen that happen. It continues to show itself. And I think for one of those two guys, listen, this is you got to go play. You either do your job or you don't get to do your job.
But who are you going to put in? Marquez Valdez?
That's the problem. The answers, as our buddy Mike T said last week, the answers are not in the building. Yeah. Right? I mean, you can't go out and get any help. So if the answers aren't in the building, the problem's not going to get solved. The bottom line is this going to keep Kansas City from getting back to the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
They're not going back.
It's hard for me to imagine that what are we at, week 15, headed into week 16?
Yeah.
That all of a sudden these guys are going to become good receivers. I mean, I made the point a second ago. It's not even like that they're average. They're like bad. They're hurting the team. Week in and week out, it's the same group doing similar and different things that are hurting the team. I'm not sure what the answer is. I mean, Rex, if you want to go in and slam the door and yell at them, maybe it's because you don't have any other answers, but that ain't going to fix them.
But I think it has a chance to. Understand that, because it's easy. If you don't say anything, they assume it's acceptable. It ain't acceptable. And so to me, look, I was a player's coach, all that. Yeah. My fastball was the same thing as Andy Reid's, just obviously not as good. Mm-hmm. But I'll be danged if I didn't have a changeup and I could rip somebody's ass. And trust me, it needs to happen.
The downside is Rashee Rice has become a player.
He's a good player.
Oh, he's become a fantastic player. So you sit there and say, now we got to see what Kelsey's health is with that potential arm injury. But the downside is that rookie has become a really good player. It's just they need a third or fourth guy, and no one has become reliable.
Look, Rashee Rice was a second-round pick. Sky Moore was a second-round pick. Kadarius Toney was a first-round pick, albeit of a different team. I mean, these are guys who should be able to make a difference.
I think you got to sit one of them.
Right now, they're in real trouble. Well, let's see. Let me run through some other stuff that we saw yesterday. Neek, give me a number one takeaway on a dominating win for the Ravens last night in Jacksonville.
This is the best defense in football. They're getting after this team. They turn every team into the worst offense in football as far as their pass defense is concerned. The pass rush is outstanding. The coverage is multiple, complex, and incredibly smart. They're going to be a tough team to beat, especially if that offense gets going.
Speaking of the worst offense in football, the Jets were shut out in Miami yesterday, Rex. Yeah, what would we like to say about them?
Ooh. They're absolutely horrendous on offense. And it's not – everybody blames the quarterback. You're going to blame the quarterback when he has absolutely no protection. All right, zero protection. Let's put Trevor Siemian in. He looked absolutely outstanding. All right, I mean, I don't know what it is. There's no magic formula, but you can't block anybody. That's the first thing. All right, you can't block, you can't run, you can't throw the football. Why don't we punt on first down? That might be better because this offense stinks. They had 103 total yards. I'm sorry, it's brutal.
No, it's brutal, and they have more excuses than any other team in the NFL. Are they the only team that has injuries on the offensive line? Are they the only team that's lost their starting quarterback this year?
No.
Because they're the only one that looks completely lost. That Josh Allen is the second best player in the National Football League. Everyone loves to point out all the things he doesn't do. It's Patrick Mahomes, and then it's Josh Allen. It's, to me, I don't even think it's that complicated. You're making that face, and that's why you're not in Bill's Mafia.
Trust me, I'm not trying to be in Bill's Mafia. However, this is the wrong game to be talking about how great Josh Allen is. Like, this is your point about the team is a good one because the team seems to be coming around, and no one disagrees. You guys in this straw man about people picking on Josh Allen. Every week you guys make up this straw man and pretend like it's a real thing. We all know that Josh Allen is great. We all say he's great. We also say that
what did you say about Stafford this morning? I was like, yo, the Rams are going to get into the playoffs. And
I said Stafford is nasty, but he's going to throw it at the other guys every now and then.
This is my point.
What?
There's always a but with Josh Allen. Let's get into it.
Man.
You say he didn't do that much yesterday. Here is Allen himself yesterday talking about his performance in which he completed only 7 passes.
Felt like the kid that didn't do anything in the class project but got an A. But again, like, I'll do this 10 times out of 10 times, man. Like, this, keep going.
He's never been able to say that.
That's the thing. Right. Let's actually let's stop kidding around for a minute and get serious. That did show some growth, right? The fact that he didn't force anything. He took what was available to him in a big spotlight game that meant absolutely everything when he usually does try and put on the cape. He let the other guy be the hero yesterday. He trusted in that. That feels like it was significant.
Well, because he believes in the people around him on the journey. And I remember doing the Monday Night Football game 2 years ago when Brandon Beane, their general manager, was like, we just got to get Josh to trust the people around him, to not feel like he has to do it himself. That's why they've added some of the people that they have, Dalton Kincaid, James Cook of last year. And now this is a quarterback that, after a stretch of games here, like on the road versus Philadelphia, had to go be Superman. On the road versus Kansas City, made some big plays, but it didn't have to be unbelievable. And yesterday barely did anything. He just needed to make sure he didn't make any type of crucial mistake. And that's the first time in Josh Allen's career that you could take a step back and say, this now looks like a complete offense under Joe Brady.
And so the Bills, who have an easier than you might expect path into the playoffs, you're going to see all these people telling you, oh, the Bills might not make the playoffs. And, of course, it's possible that they don't. But their path to winning the AFC East is actually quite clear, having now beaten Kansas City and Dallas in consecutive weeks. The Bills get the Chargers and Patriots, very winnable games. The Dolphins, in the meantime, have to play Dallas
at home,
and
on the road,
Baltimore.
Yep.
If the Dolphins lose either one of those 2 games, then that game, the last weekend of the season, Buffalo at Miami, will be for the AFC East.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all know what happened that the first time these 2 teams met, right?
Will it be different in Miami right now? Seeing what the Dolphins did yesterday against the Jets without Tyreek Hill, whatever it is, are the Bills right now better than the Dolphins?
Well, I mean, we're going to find out. But I'm going to tell you this. Miami's closed the gap. I can assure you they've closed the gap on Buffalo from the first time they met.
Okay.
Okay. And why? Because they've added Jalen Ramsey back to the mix. They get that defense starting to play a lot better. So to me, they've closed that gap. Now, how much? Plus, don't forget, there's more injuries with Buffalo. So I think this is going to be an amazing football game. It's not going to be a blowout by Buffalo.
Yeah, maybe it's recency bias, but I like Buffalo in that situation in part because what we saw yesterday. The point that you made, we give Josh Allen a hard time, but the trust was big. Him making the decision to throw balls away, and he knows that he has that cape, as you mentioned before. It's in there. He can take it out when he needs to. Why are you acting like I ain't been saying this about Josh all year?
Yeah.
You in this foolishness. But yeah, Josh, this team is really good. Their defense is not as good as what we saw yesterday, but that is the weak spot.
You knew that he has the potential of putting the cape on?
That was you.
Dallas.
Oh,
well,
Dallas.
me, of course.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've seen a few quarterbacks.
I'm so used to you pointing out that you were right on things. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
I'm sorry. I should have started with that.
Yeah.
But Dallas, like, why do they get that run game going so much? Because every single time he gave the ball, he ends up coming here. He doesn't even have the ball in his hand. So he affected that game in way more ways than you think, and not statistically, but that defensive end, who do you think held that backside defensive end? Why couldn't he close the cutback run?
Right.
Why? Because he's chasing Josh Allen.
I think Buffalo's the second scariest team in football right now.
Yeah.
Behind San Francisco. If we look at who this defense is, we've talked all season long about the injuries, rightfully so. This is one of the best third down defenses in football. They have shut down big-time receivers. They have a run game now that controls the football. They got multiple personnel. And I think in that Week 18 game, just like we saw James Cook be the star yesterday, it'll be James Cook because the way to attack Miami's defense is a pass-catching tailback.
Okay, so that you say is the second scariest team. Let's get to the scariest. The 49ers, another ho-hum easy win yesterday. As we watch what they're doing right now, Dan, what is your number one thought on San Francisco?
Their offense, when in rhythm, is the most unstoppable offense in football. You can make the case that this is one of the best offenses we've seen in the NFL over the last 20 to 25 years, maybe the 2018 Chiefs. I mean, they do whatever they want. There's multiplicity in their run game. The quarterback continues to make big plays. They have two of the top 3 or 4 MVP candidates in all of football, and their quarterback and their tailback. And they've got diversity on their football team, both in personnel and scheme, that is rare.
Well, as you see, Brock Purdy is, as of this moment, an odds-on favorite to win MVP, but his tailback, Christian McCaffrey, is in the top 5, and the quarterback thinks the tailback should win.
Dude, I think Christian should be MVP. I really do believe that. You know, he does everything for us, runs the ball well, can catch the ball. He does everything. And so, in my eyes, that's an MVP.
What do you think of that, Rex Ryan?
No, he's the MVP. Brock Purdy's the MVP of this league.
I like him saying it, though.
And, I love him saying that. I mean, the kid's another reason he should be the MVP because he gets it. And to me, let's give him the game manager tag, too, even though he throws for about 10 yards per pass attempt.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is an amazing player. He's doing it. If they don't have him in there, they're not even close to the team they are right now.
They're
not close.
Not close?
No, not close. This guy right here. Let's put our boy Trey Lance in there. Let's put whoever that they had before.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's a way different
If Jimmy
football
Garoppolo
team.
is still the quarterback of this team, are they still the team to beat?
No, absolutely not.